friends! Welcome to this episode of Yarnyheart Fiber Art. My name is Jess. You can find me on Instagram at yarnyheart, and this is the show where I talk about all the yarny things that I've been up to. So first off, sorry if there's a little bit of like wind noise going on. It's pretty hot today and I don't think I could get through this episode without some kind of fan running, so that's what that is. I'm not sure if that'll come through in the final sound mix or not, but I did have a little tower fan running just to help keep me from getting too overheated while doing this episode. But yeah, let's get right into it. I have a lot of WIPs today. I don't have any finished objects or anything, but I do have a lot of WIPs, including some new projects that you guys haven't seen. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So my first WIP is a pair of socks that I have shared before on the podcast. Let me find. The state of my life right now is like I just have project bags like stashed in every corner of my apartment, so it took a while before filming this to actually go and track all of my WIPs down. So okay, so we have progress on my daily socks by Summer Lee. Ta-da! So I'm still on the first sock, but as you can see, I'm pretty close to done with this first sock. I think I'm only going to knit maybe another inch or two, maybe another 2 inches before I start doing decreases for the toe. Yeah, so these are this daily socks by Summer Lee. So it's a top down or cuff down sock with a nice texture that's made with slip stitches. And yeah, just a pretty standard sock construction, like a heel flap and gusset heel, which is, I guess, probably what you would typically see in like a top-down sock, so nothing out of the ordinary there, but some very fun socks for my boyfriend. Oh yeah, so I had mentioned last time the yarn that I was using for this also is what seems to be a discontinued yarn store or something along those lines called Pearlescence Yarns, but I got this sock yarn from the yarn swap. So this is secondhand yarn that I'm using for this. And so yeah, I don't know much about the origins of the yarn because it is secondhand and I wasn't able to find very much information on it, even from the label. But the label was Pearlescence Yarns, which I believe is a yarn shop, or was a yarn shop. And then the label also said Purl Up and Dye, but there was no colorway listed. So now that I've been knitting this, I'm starting to wonder if this was like a one-of-a-kind skein. But either way, it's nice, you know. I'm not really a blue person, but my boyfriend does like blue, so these socks and this color scheme is to his liking, so doing good. I had also mentioned that I was a little confused by the sizing of the socks because it seemed like the largest size in the pattern even was like kind of small, so I am knitting the largest size available in the pattern. But even my size, which I don't have very large feet, but even my personal size would have been like the second to largest in the pattern, which didn't seem right to me at the time. But now that I've knitted on it a bit, and I was actually able to try it on myself up to this point, and it fits my foot pretty well, even with maybe just like a little bit of room, so I'm pretty confident that it'll fit him well. I'm not concerned that it'll be too big anymore. Yeah, and so I'm mostly done with the first sock, but I'm excited to finish up this sock and get started on the second one. And I'm especially excited to get started on chewing through like the massive amount of sock yarn that I recently acquired. Yeah, I'm excited about it, and yeah. So that's my daily socks, and that's how those are going. Okay. So up next is this one. Yes, this one. I love these Aloha brand pouches for project bags. They're just really nice, and because they're like waterproof, I feel very protected whenever I'm bringing stuff around in here. I feel very nice and protected. So this is my glint vest, and last time I shared this in the last episode, it was literally just a strip of knitting. I think I was maybe like 8 rows in or something like that. I was not very far along at all. So as you can see, this has grown quite a bit since then. I'm trying to find the top of this while I'm talking. I'm kind of stalling for time. Is that the front or is that the back? That's the back. This is the front. This is the front. Okay. Ta-da! I watched High Fiber Knits show off her stuff like this. How did she do it? Like this. This feels very silly, but I guess it gets the job done. But look, because you all know I always struggle with getting my whole project in the frame. So I'm trying to find new ways to get stuff in. Oh, I guess that does work. Like if this was longer, if this was like full length and done, this would work to show it off. That's been watching a lot of other knitting podcasts lately and taking notes on how other people display their projects on screen and get the whole thing in the screen. But this is still short enough that I can just hold it up like this, I think. So yes, all that jibber jabbering. This is the Glint Vest by Irene Lynn. Like I said last time I showed you this, it was literally just a strip of knitting, because you start on the back and then you pick up and knit contiguously, and so it was literally just the top back part. Like I think it was this much that I had last time. So obviously I have made a lot of progress. So I finished knitting the back panel. I picked up for the front panels and did them separately, and then you join and then you do the front panel flat, and then now I am joined. I've been joined in the round, oh, I guess not for that long, but I joined in the round and I'm kind of just past the armholes here. So now all that's left to do is to keep on knitting down until it's my preferred length. And then I think there's like a long ribbing portion at the bottom of this, and then I think you pick up around the sleeves and the collar and then do a little bit of like finishing ribbing there also. Yeah, so I was very unconfident when I started about my yarn quantities, but now that I'm at this point, I'm very confident, because I think I might be not even halfway. I'm not even halfway through my second balls of these, and I have another 2 left to do. So I'm at a good point right now, where now that I'm knitting top down, all I have to do is just make sure that I stop when I have enough yarn to do the finishings, and then I should be golden, I think. So I'm at a confident place right now. My bag's falling. Okay. I need a more like enclosed chair to do these knitting podcasts, since all my stuff doesn't fall. Yeah. Feel very scatterbrained right now. I don't know. I was just excited to sit down and film this episode, because I literally have so much going on right now, knitting wise, that I was like, I don't know, I have to share now before all this stuff gets out of hand and then it's just finished and I didn't show any progress or anything. I've never thought of myself as a fast knitter until now, I think, because I'm thinking about how much I've gotten done since the last podcast, which was only like 2 weeks ago. And it's kind of a lot. Like I've kind of been chugging through my stuff. Anyway, all that to say, yeah, so once again, I've shared the yarn a few times at this point, I think, but this is La Bien Aimée Merino DK in the colorway Lannister, and then this is Isayer Silk Mohair in the colorway, in the color number 69. Y'all, what else do I have to say? Yeah, so this yarn is just an absolute dream to work with, like this yarn combination, and it's making me excited to try more mohairs in the future. Yeah, it's making me really excited about fall winter knitting, even though we're going into spring right now. I'm just not a spring summer girly. Like, I love fall, I love winter, I love sweater weather, but the powers that be have decided that I'm going to stay in California. Oh my god, there's like children screaming outside my apartment right now. And now the mom is screaming at them. Unfortunately, this is just kind of my reality because I live with the playground on that side of my apartment and the pool on that side of my apartment. Oh, kids are getting yelled at. Someone's in trouble. Someone just got smacked. Okay, they're being dragged away. So that was some drama. Anyway, that's apartment life is just like this. Like at this point, yeah, it's kind of noisy at times, but I've learned to just kind of like appreciate the sounds of community around me, even if those sounds are screaming children and moms yelling at their screaming children. That's just life, you know? Oh yeah, I'm not really a spring summer girly, so having this nice mohair project to like remind me of what winter is like, especially like I think these colors are such beautiful like winter colors, like Christmas colors. And I'm not just saying that because I bought this with Christmas money, but I don't know, it's just giving me like a taste of winter, which I feel like I need. Yeah. I'm never, ever, ever, ever leaving this beautiful state that I call home, California. I love California. I just really wish we had more seasons than just like a 120-day summer, because that's what it feels like we have. Anyway, yeah, this yarn is a dream to work with. I'm loving it so much. However, I do feel like my progress on this is going to slow down a bit, just simply because I see less and less cool days coming up. But like next weekend, I think it's gonna, no, not next weekend, next weekdays, I think it's going to cool down just a little bit, but I don't think it's gonna be as drastic as it has been anymore, which I'm okay. Like, I'm okay with the consistency. I will enjoy the consistency in the weather for a bit, but I'm seeing like today it's 80, which I cannot be complaining about it being 80 degrees because we're gonna have much hotter days ahead. So yeah, running out of time to work on it before next fall rolls around, but we'll see. I mean, like I had said when I first casted it on, I was intending for this to be a project to just kind of sit, for me to pull out when it gets cooler, if it gets cooler. So, you know, it is what it is. Oh yeah, I put this away already, but I did at first have a little bit of concerns about gauge. Like, I swatched and everything. I was very careful, and I did a swatch and I blocked the swatch and all that stuff. But when I knitted it up, it was still a little tighter than the suggested gauge, and so I was a little bit worried. But then when I finished the back panel, I stopped, I took a pause, and I did a steam block on the back panel, and it really opened up a lot. And so I was like, okay, like if it opened up this much. And it's also nice because now I can see the part of the back panel that I have blocked compared to the part that I've been knitting. And because the texture is kind of like a diamond like that, I can tell that when it's blocked out, it makes the diamond like, what's the word I'm looking for? Equilateral is not the word because that's triangles, but it, you know, I guess like it makes it a perfect square, you know, like that, it makes it a perfect square. But then, or like that, a perfect, I can't make a square with my fingers. But you know, it stretches out so it's like a perfect square, but I can see that where I'm knitting, it's kind of like this, where they're all like squished up, like, or like squished, yeah. they're like longer, taller. And so, but that's a good gauge for me to see, like compared to the back panel where it is blocked out and it became like a perfect square. For me, just seeing that and then knowing, okay, so all these diamonds are going to grow about that much. So that's been very reassuring on my vest journey. But either way, I can tell that even though I can't really try it on because the cord is too tight, even though I can't try it on, I can tell that even if it is a little bit tight on the tighter side, it's still definitely gonna fit me. Like, even if I have a little bit of negative ease, it will still fit and it'll still be a good fit. So that's how that's going and I'm enjoying it a lot. So this next one is one that I talked about before, I think 2 episodes ago. It was my yarn, no, a couple episodes ago at this point. It was my yarn haul or my yarn swap episode. And that was when I first casted this on, but this is my haraboji cardigan by Egg Knit. And I had gone on about kind of like the story behind this project. And it's kind of a long story, so if you haven't seen my yarn swap video, go ahead and watch that one to kind of get the full story behind this cardigan and how it's kind of a special project to me. But yeah, so I had said at that point that I was okay with just like taking a chill pill on this, like just casting it on to have it on the needles and then just kind of letting it sit a little bit and just working on it when I feel like it. But I got a little burst of wanting to work on it recently. Yeah, so I worked on it some more and it's been really fun. So this is what I have so far. Still not very much at all. And this is going to be the left sleeve of the cardigan. So the cardigan is, oh, my yarn is all loopy, twisted. Anyway, so the cardigan is worked side to side from left cuff to right cuff. And so this is going to be the left sleeve, and I'm trying to orientate this in a way. Here, I gotta untwist my yarn first. Okay, there we go. So now you can see a little bit better. And oh, the yarn's really dark on camera. And the thing is, like, I had known, because I picked, this is Bergère de France du Soleil. I think it's the colorway Hazel. Let me double check. I have this full skein right here. Yeah, so it's the colorway Hazel. This is the yarn that I'm using. Where's the... Come on. Get that ball band in focus. There we go. Okay. So this is the yarn that I'm using. It's, I think an 80-20. Yeah, 80% wool, 20% polyamide, aka like acrylic-esque, you know, polyamide. So that's what I'm using for this. And I had chosen this color because I don't have a cardigan that is this kind of like chocolate color. And this was something that I wanted to have. It, I don't know, the color spoke to me, and that particular colorway was on like extra discount, so it all worked out. And I was concerned about the definition of the cables with using a dark yarn, which I've knitted dark cables before, and I did like the look of that. But I was concerned, you know, obviously. But oh, I don't know that it's gonna show up on camera, but the actual yarn, I guess you can kind of see it. In person, you can see it much more, but the stitch definition of this yarn is absolutely gorgeous. Like, I think it's gonna be really hard to get this on camera accurately. Oh, that's a little bit better. There we go. So you, like, in person, you can absolutely see all of the cable details, and it's working up so gorgeous. It's really pretty. And even you can even see the seed stitch section down here. Like, you can see the stitch definition on that too. Like, the yarn, it must be partially from the acrylic content, but the yarn has a very subtle sheen to it, which catches the light easily, and especially with these like crisscross cables that are going on. it really makes the contrast between the raised parts of the cable and then kind of like the dark parts of the insides of them. There's a very high contrast between that because of the sheen that the yarn has, and it's making it so pretty. I'm so happy with how this is coming out. Yeah, it's so beautiful. The cable pattern is pretty addicting. Like when I picked this up, I couldn't put it down like all day that I had been working on it, because the cable pattern's really addicting. And I had heard from Jessica, from those twins who knit, who also knitted this pattern. According to her, she was talking about how it was confusing once you get out of the round for the sleeve and into the flat part, because you do make the cables on every round as opposed to every other round, which most patterns will have you do. She said that it was confusing to do the cables on the wrong side of the work when you're knitting flat, so I'm anticipating that coming up, but she also said that once she got used to it, it was fine, which I can see that happening because, you know, like it's every round and it's, you know, like a pretty thick band of cables on both sides, so I can see how you just get used to it pretty quickly. It's kind of like an integral part of the pattern. So I'm looking forward to doing more of this. It's a really, really nice knit, very engaging, and the magic loop is not as scary as I thought it would be. I will say the only thing is because you're doing sleeve increases, and then from where you start, like here, to where you end the decreases, you're increasing a total of 22 or 20 stitches, so it's either 10 or 11 extra stitches on each side, so I'm hoping that'll fit and not be too much of a problem for doing magic loop, but I'm hopeful that it will fit and it won't give me that much grief. But yeah, it's really pretty. The yarn is I wouldn't say that it's splitty, because I'm sure if you were just knitting a less engaging pattern with this, it wouldn't have problems, but just because you are kind of doing like the 1x1 cables, like the 1x1 crossover cables, there are certain times where I'll accidentally grab like a strand of the wrong I'm trying so hard to describe this in a way that makes sense. You know, like I'm grabbing a strand of the wrong loop, and so like, you know, it'll pull out a little bit. So it's splitting in that way, but I don't think that would be a problem if I was more careful, or if I wasn't doing these 1x1 cables on every row, then I don't think it would be as much of a problem. So I'm not going to blame the yarn just yet. I don't think it's just me, and I don't think it's just the yarn. I think there's some mutual fault going on here. Yeah, but that's it. So this is how my haraboji cardigan is going. It's really, really pretty so far. I'm really enjoying it. And while I'm putting this away, I guess this is just like a side note, because I'm seeing a lot more YouTubers. I'm seeing a lot more people on YouTube and Instagram making this pattern or adding it to their patterns that they want to knit, and particularly podcasters. I know that it is difficult to look up pronunciations for everything. I know I certainly am guilty of not looking up pronunciations for like every single thing. All I'm saying is that if you happen to be watching this podcast and you happen to have your own podcast or some other platform where you share about knitting patterns, and you are planning to make or talk about this cardigan, just making a quick note here, as someone who is Korean, it is pronounced haraboji. That is my haraboji cardigan. So this next one is one that is completely new to the podcast. I have not talked about this at all, I think. I don't think I have. I don't think I even like talked about planning to cast it on or anything, but I had the yarn and kind of this transitional weather, and finishing this tee, actually. This is my Goodfellow top that I shared in the previous episode as a finished object, but finishing this one made me want more t-shirt cotton kind of stuff for the transitional weather in the spring, and especially something a little bit lighter than this that would carry me into the summer potentially. And so I cast it on. I'm trying to find the front of this. Give me a minute. Is that the front? This is the front. This is the front. Ta-da! So, oh my god, it looks huge on the camera, but this is the Tolsta Tea by Rebecca Clow, aka the Crayabea, and she has a knitting podcast and stuff, but so this is the Tolsta Tea. She actually just put out the tester call for the Tolsta Tank. I applied and didn't get in. Yeah, she just put out the tester call for the Tolsta Tank, which is very similar to the Tolsta Tea. It's meant to be a very versatile like tank top that's highly customizable. So this is a pretty popular pattern. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it before, but it's just kind of a very basic raglan knitted t-shirt, and kind of the, I won't say the purpose, but like kind of the appeal behind this pattern is that it is very highly customizable. Like a lot of people add stripes or color work or like little lace eyelets and lace details and stuff like that. Oh, I had it backwards this whole time. This is the front of my Tolsta Tea, yay! Yeah, so I had this yarn in stash for a bit, and this yarn is Fibra Natura Cotton True Sport, 100% Pima cotton, and I just got this from a Web's sale. I think it's still on sale, even though I got this like almost a year ago at this point, but just never found a use for it. I think I had 5 balls of this plus 1 ball of this brown for a contrast color, and I just kind of had it sitting in my stash for like the express purpose of having some yarn on hand for crochet pattern tests, so that if I ever got into one, like I would have enough for a top kind of thing without needing to go yarn shopping. But I'm kind of slow in my roll on crochet pattern tests. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just kind of slowing my roll on it. I find that since picking knitting back up, because I started picking crochet back up first, and then I started picking knitting back up, and once I started picking knitting up again, I was like, that's right, I do love knitting so much, and I think I'm probably going to just dedicate myself to doing more knitting than crochet for a while. But you know, anyway, back to this. So I had the yarn in stash already, and I had enough. So this is one size bigger than my suggested size, which is why it looks so huge, but I kind of wanted it to be more oversized, because the suggested ease, or like the ease of the samples, is like 0 to 3, but, and I'm sure it would look good as 0 to 3, but I like oversized things, and I had quite a bit of this yarn. I was like, you know what, I'll just cast one size bigger and it'll be nice and boxy. So that's kind of my intent with this, is just kind of a very loose, relaxed t-shirt going on. And yeah. Okay, so there's 2 versions of the pattern. There's a DK weight version and a fingering weight version. I'm knitting the fingering weight version with a sport yarn. I'm still kind of hitting gauge though, and I've heard from other people knitting this pattern and other Rebecca Clow patterns that her gauge as a designer feels like it's pretty loose. So with that in mind, I am kind of hitting gauge with using this sport yarn and the same suggested needles. So that's kind of nice. It's kind of working out in my favor. And from the start, I'd always felt like this was pretty light for a sport weight, so it might just be like a light sport weight. Either way, I'm fine and I'm getting gauge. Yeah. So my plan for this, in terms of my customization plans, I've seen a lot of people kind of like leave off the sleeve very short, like not knitting very far past this cap that you get once you separate, but I want to knit a longer sleeve, probably like down to elbow length, and what I want to do is I want to take this brown that is at my collar here, and I want to put like 2 wide athletic style stripes on the sleeve and have it be a longer sleeve, and so kind of looking a little bit more of like a casual athletic type shirt. When I first casted this on and I knitted the first couple rounds past the collar, which I did in brown, obviously, when I knitted just a couple rounds past that, I looked at it and I was thinking to myself that it reminds me so much of like Pom Pom Puddin', which is a Sanrio character. Do I have any Pom Pom Puddin' stuff around here? I don't. I only have my boys Pachaco and Cinnamon Roll. I'll have to get some Pom Pom Puddin' something to join the collection. But yeah, Pom Pom Puddin' is a Sanrio character. He's like a golden retriever, and these are his colors. Like, these are his exact colors. And so I've been debating, before I got to this point, I was debating whether or not I wanted to like make a colorwork motif to like do Intarsia or something on the front and have a Pom Pom Puddin' on there. But I didn't feel like doing that, and especially like Intarsia kind of intimidates me. So what I think I might do instead is I think I might just knit the whole shirt as is and then decide at the very end if I want to go back, because I have a lot of embroidery hoops for cross stitching. And so I'm thinking maybe I'll just like stick this on an embroidery hoop and do like a double stitch Pom Pom Puddin' on here somewhere afterwards, just kind of stitch that in. So I'm debating whether or not I want to fully lean into it and go that far or not, but we'll see. So it's unfortunate that I can't try this on. I mean, I could if I really wanted to. I could transfer this to a cable, but there's a lot of stitches on here and I don't feel like doing that. And so just holding it up to myself, I'm choosing to trust the process, and it looks like it's good. Like, it's very obviously going to fit. It's just going to be a matter of like how well it fits, but it's gonna fit. It's fine. Yeah, so that's my tolsta tee. And honestly, I've been chugging through this. Like, part of why I casted it on too is because after doing a lot of cables, as you have seen in the previous episodes, after having done a lot of cables, I was just kind of wanting something in plain stockinette, as like a lot of people call it a palette cleanser. And you know, I've been watching a lot of knitting podcasts lately where people talk about having a palette cleanser of all stockinette. A lot of people knit all stockinette projects. I don't know that I have knit an all stockinette project aside from socks or like my dumpling bag, like little things like that, but not a garment. I don't know why. Maybe I feel like it's a waste of time if you could just like buy something that is all stockinette, but that's like a stupid, I don't know, that's a stupid philosophy to have. But I've just never have. And so knitting this as my first all stockinette garment that I've ever made, I don't think I want to do it again. Like, I think this was a good experience for me to have, but I think I'll just continue to pass on like plain stockinette raglan, not even necessarily raglan, but just plain stockinette patterns. I'm not finding it very engaging. Like, I'm kind of reaching the point on this project where I'm working on it so that I can be done with it. And for me, I'm very much a process knitter usually. I just enjoy the process of making things, which is why I make gifts for people, because I have so many projects that I want to make that I can't possibly wear them all myself. But it's like, you know, I knit to give away a lot of the time because I'm a process knitter. And this project is making me into a product knitter just this once, and I don't think I like that. So yeah, so once I finish this, I think I'm calling it quits on that, and just, I think it was a good experience for myself to know, to have done it once, to know that I'm not really into that. Yeah, so that's that. Cool, we're like almost done. So my last WIP is a crochet project. I know I just said that I'm kind of getting tired of crochet, but this is different. So you can't even tell what this is gonna be yet, but I'll put a picture here of the final or of the samples of what I'm making. This is a donut amigurumi, and the pattern is by Wind Rises Crochet. Yeah, and so they're just these really cute donut patterns. Like, so they're little animal donuts. It's super customizable. Like, you can make it into whatever animal you want, just based on whatever finishing you do and what colors you use and stuff. And so I'm using this, like, I don't have the yarn labels anymore, so I don't even remember what it is, but I was on like an amigurumi kick for a little bit, and so I bought this like super bulky blanket yarn from Michael's and I hadn't even stepped into a Michael's in so long, like when I went to go buy these, and it was an extremely poor financial decision at the time, but whatever. I have a bunch still. And so I am making these donuts. And so mine are going to be quite a bit bigger than I think a lot of the samples are, just because I'm using this super bulky yarn and a giant hook. But I'm making these as a donation project for my work. So at work, we're doing a silent auction fundraiser in June, and we're looking for employee donations. This is the second year that we've put this on, and I helped organize it last year too. And so last year I donated a bunch of hats that I had made for my Etsy shop that I used to have a long time ago. You know, I had 4 hats left over that were just like collecting dust, and so I donated those to the silent auction, and they did really well. Like all of them sold, and I think in total off of the hats alone we made like $250 just off of those hats. And so I was like, dang, like I guess my products are in high demand. And so I was trying to think of what I could do this year, because I don't want to make a whole bunch of hats again. But then I was like, I remembered that I had all this yarn, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it would be so quick to just make some like amigurumi. And especially these days, like girl, these days, like, okay, so when I first got started making amigurumi when I was like 12, we had pattern books, and like that was it. Like we had pattern books, and we had the little like free slip, like the free patterns on like little slips of paper that you could get at Michael's that were like next to the Vanna's Choice acrylic yarn. That's what we had back in the day. But now with Instagram and everything, there are so many freaking cute amigurumi patterns out there now. So I'm making these animal donuts because I have 4 colors that all go really well together. And so I'm like, if I make a bunch of animal donuts that are all different animals, this is working up super fast. I started this like a couple hours ago, and I wasn't even working on it for the whole couple of hours. So these are going super fast. Super, super, super fast. And so I'm like, I'll just whip out a couple of these. I'll just kind of like work on it in my free time or whatever, and have at least a few that I can donate to this silent auction that we're putting on. So I'll keep you updated on these, and I'm definitely going to have more podcasts before June. So I will have more of those donuts to share, and I'll probably start having a segment on these where I share how many donuts I finished and which ones I finished and stuff. So that's the other thing that I have going on in my fiber arts life. Yeah. So that's it. My 5 WIPs, which is a lot of WIPs for me. I don't think I've had this many since Christmas knitting. And even then, I don't know that I had 5. I feel like I had less than 5 when I was doing Christmas knitting even. But yeah, so that's all my WIPs. And you might be surprised to hear that I have an acquisition to share with you. Even though I spent so much money on yarn like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was before, when the last podcast was, when I shared my yarn crawl haul. But I'm here to tell you that I have an acquisition to share with you. And I'm not going to be embarrassed about this, because this is from Apothecary Fiber Company, which if you haven't heard of them, this is an indie dyer that I have been following on Instagram for quite some time. I was in love with all of her colorways. Like I was seriously just in love with her yarn. Like I wanted to buy all of it. And you know, part of it is on a yarn budget. Like I'm not going to go buying sweater quantities of everybody's yarn, because that's not a smart financial decision. And especially with Apothecary Fiber Company, you know, I loved her yarn so much, but I always operated under the assumption that I would have all the time in the world to buy her yarn, because, you know, I'm like, well, you know, if I miss this collection, you know, it'll come back someday, and it'll come, like, she'll have a drop that I really like at a time when I can afford to buy her yarn. And so I just kind of operated under that assumption. But then she announced that she's closing her shop, and so she had her final shop update last week, or what is today? 2 weeks ago. She had her final update like 2 weeks ago. And yeah, so like I couldn't resist. I had to buy at least something from her final shop update, and so this is like super special to me. I have shared her yarn before, that I was gifted by my best friend for my birthday last year. And I did also ask my boyfriend. I was like, hey, so you know how I just spent like several hundreds of dollars on yarn like last week? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, so Apothecary Fiber Company's having her last shop update like ever. So can I ask for my birthday present in advance? And so his ears must be burning. He's calling me right now. Anyway, so I asked him, I was like, can I get a sweater quantity of this for my birthday? So that one is not in my hands. It's been shipped to his house. I said, surprise me as much as you can. Like, I don't need the yarn right now. It's just that I can't get it ever again. So I'll share that update with you when that yarn is in my hands around my birthday time. But I did buy one for myself, and it's right here. And so it literally just came like right before I sat down to film. So I'm excited to do a little unboxing with you all. It's so cute. And like, I've only had her yarn shipped to me like once, but look how cute this is. Like, even the bag is pink. Where's my scissors? Like, even the bag is pink. And the other one that I have, I kept it in the tissue paper even because the tissue paper was pink. It's like, I'm just so obsessed. I'm so obsessed with this shop. I'm so sad she's closing. You guys have no idea how sad I am that she's closing. But, I mean, you know, maybe she'll come back. Maybe one day. Okay. Oh, so pretty. The sticker says magic mail. That's cute. Ah, let me get it out of here. So this is the colorway Fairy Witch. This was from her Season of the Witch yarn club, which I didn't join, and I have because I've shared with you guys my thoughts on mystery yarn clubs. I prefer to know what I'm getting. But she did bring this back as one of her final colorways, which makes me so happy because once she revealed it, I was super sad that I didn't join the yarn club because it was so beautiful. Oh, it's so pretty. So this is on her nymph fingering base, which is her sock base, which is 75/25 superwash merino nylon. Just your typical 4-ply sock base. And I have another one of her colorways in this base also. That is Night of the Rose that I shared on a previous episode. And I've been saving that one for a cowl pattern that I want to knit with it. But these, it just might make socks. I'm not sure. I just wanted to own the yarn, you know? Like, I just wanted to own it. I can figure out what I want to do with it later, and I'm not usually that kind of a yarn buyer. I'm usually not, I swear. But it's like, last chance ever. You don't get that opportunity, like, that many times in your life, right? So, yeah. And if she happens to be watching this episode, I genuinely wish you all the best in life. Like, I know having a small business is not easy or profitable a lot of the time, and so I just genuinely wish for you that wherever your life journey takes you after this yarn dyeing business, I hope that it is something that makes you happy and something that makes you excited to wake up every day and something that brings you stability and peace in your life. And I also hope, on the other hand, that stepping away from the business aspect of things helps you bring the joy of knitting and the joy of yarn again into your life. And yeah, thank you for sharing your yarn with us. It's been a really special journey, even just watching your creativity happen. So yeah. So if you happen to be watching this, thank you. But yeah, I think I held this up already, but I'm just so obsessed looking at it. It's so beautiful. So it's a very like pale pink cream, not even pink. It's like a cream base. It has these beautiful speckles that are like this green. It's like a green yellow, but like not a gross green yellow. I don't know how else to describe it. And then the speckles of green have speckles of pink in them, along with the speckles of pink on the yarn. I love speckled yarn, and this is totally one of her signature things is her yarn speckling. And it's just so beautiful. Maybe I will make socks out of these. I just love the way that speckled yarn knits up. I'm so happy to own this. Anyway, I will stop gushing about yarn on camera. But yeah, I'm very happy to own this now. And yeah, so that's all I have to share with you guys. I better go call them back. So thank you so much for coming on this yarn journey with me. As always, you can find me on Instagram at yarnyheart in between these video updates. And if you like this video, please take the time to leave a like. And consider subscribing to my channel if you like the content that I do. I'm starting to get real sweaty. Until next time, take care and I'll see you soon. Bye!